Welcome to the Wayne Public Library's virtual author chat. My guest today is Khali Raymond. Khali, that's correct, right? Khali?
Yes, yes.
Khali, also known as Savage Writer, is an author, musician, actor, spoken word artist, photographer, and content creator, born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. Savage has an AS in Business Administration from Berkeley College and a BA in English from Kane University. From a young age, Savage had a passion for storytelling and the arts. In 2014, at the age of 15, Savage published his first book, The Ballad of Sydney Hill, a young adult novel about an 18-year-old man who was forced to leave his suburban hometown and had to adjust to a chaotic city. His achievements have not gone unnoticed by anyone, including the city of Newark. Since then, Savage has managed to successfully branch out and transfer his skills to other avenues such as short films, acting, performance, and public speaking. He began performing poetry in 2017 and has gone on to grace many stages across the tri state area. To this day, Savage contributes to the community he grew up in through the rawness and power of his work, continuously using his story to inspire others. Welcome, Khali. Please tell us a little more about yourself and your latest collection of poetry, The Gold Mine.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and having me here. It's been an honor. And yes, so my latest project I just put out almost 2 years ago was called The Gold Mine. It was a collection of poetry that I've written during the pandemic, as that was a rough time for everyone. A lot of things were happening around then, and I was just really trying to get a lot of that stuff that I was going through at that particular time out of my mind, out of sight, and having a cathartic release to, channel that into creativity. And I feel like I accomplished that with the gold mine. Also, in addition to having the book, I also had some merchandise with the book as well to accompany it. I had a shirt, those sold pretty well. And a lot of people actually were into that book. And I've went on to perform some pieces out of that book, which have gone on to become fan favorites. And so that was really a great experience with that book. And I'm working on some new stuff. I could definitely have some new stuff coming out this year. So I feel like everyone could look forward to that.
Okay. Um, in doing research to come up with the questions for you, I got saw different numbers in terms of how many books you published. So, can you tell us how many you've published to date and the variety of genres that you've published in?
I put out a lot. I feel like at this point I have over 100 titles. I've done a wide variety of genres from fiction to thriller, mystery, a lot of poetry, definitely a lot of poetry talking about different subjects, things
Okay.
that I've went through throughout my life. I feel like, I do channel a lot of things that I've went through throughout my actual life and, put it into poetry. Some things may be exaggerated and some things may not be. That all depends on that particular moment or however I may have felt as I was creating something. But, I do want to say that, kind of a disclaimer. I always say this, everything that I do is entertainment. You know, it is not necessarily indicative of how I live my real life or who I am as a person. But what I will say is that I have been heavily influenced by things in my life to create the things that I've created.
And of all the genres you mentioned, is there one in particular that you prefer writing or that you most enjoy writing?
Well, I mean, I would say poetry, but I feel like I'm starting to take a bit of a step back, at least from the writing side of poetry, because I have been working on poetry for a while now, but My actual favorite genre that I really truly enjoy, I believe, is fiction, particularly in the urban thriller genre, because a lot of those books, urban books and stuff like that, um, I do see similarities between, my real life and the setting and environment and characters of some of these books. That's not to say that, every person I know maybe is not a gangster or anything of that sort, but you know, you could empathize with certain characters in a certain story in a certain work, and you could actually know somebody like that, or maybe possibly a setting, maybe inspired by somewhere you grew up or you went to school at. So I feel like those similarities, those parallels is really what makes that specific genre my favorite. And seeing the main character overcome whatever trials and tribulations that may need to be overcome. So
And you mentioned that you have been inspired by different, I guess, people, situations. So over the years, what would you say has inspired or influenced your writing most?
um I will say what has inspired my writing the most more than anything was um just me being focused and wanting to set a new precedent for my environment, for my community, for my family, and whatever else encompasses that sphere, just wanting to be a better version of myself and really express myself the way that I want to. Because, I've seen a lot of people around me, they've had talents, they've had gifts, they have dreams, they have goals, but they let life beat them down. They let life take that away from them. And it's like I said to myself, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to sit here, be in my 30s, my 40s, my 50s, however old I may grow to be, resenting the world, feeling like that it's everyone else's fault when really I should have looked in the mirror and made better choices. I should have maybe taken more risks. I should have maybe, not cared what everybody else around me thought or said, and just focused on my goals and focused on my vision, do what I wanted to do instead of what everyone else wanted me to do. I felt like that was really a driving factor and me getting my work out there. And not only that, but wanting to succeed, wanting to be the best that I can be.
Okay. Um, and over the years, have you gotten any good or bad pieces of advice about your writing or about your books?
Yes, I have. I've gotten different types of feedback, different types of reactions. But the one thing that always stuck with me, was creating from the heart, being authentic, instead of trying to fit yourself to a certain character or limit yourself to a certain type of medium. It's okay to branch out. It's okay to try different things. I feel like that was the best piece of advice that I've gotten throughout the years. Just being original, being authentic, and staying focused on the path at hand instead of being caught up with all the other drama that doesn't have anything to do with the creative process. And I feel like that kind of advice really kept me going. It kept me focused and it kept me in a place to where I could be able to improve and really mold myself into the standard that I was seeking.
Okay. Um, and do you ever communicate with your readers? What kind of things do they say about your writing, about your books? Um, do you ever have any moments like like a special um, reader encounter that you want to share with us?
I don't have anything specific to share, but one thing I will say is, I do appreciate all the support and all the feedback that people give me, because also, I have other mediums out there that I pursue, and I also get feedback from those as well. I get a lot of love, a lot of support, a lot of shares. And so I'm grateful for every person that does take the time to invest in my work and invest in me. It's really a rewarding feeling knowing that people do are genuinely interested in what you have to say and what you have to offer. And in the beginning, it wasn't really much of that. I really had to work to build that audience, to build that platform. And to this day, I'm still growing, I'm still building. But I feel like now, compared to when I first started almost 10 years ago, um, I am way more along, and I feel like I have a lot more experience and a lot more maturity, and I can take all of that into the next phase of my career.
Okay. And speaking of the next phase, you mentioned earlier that you're working on some stuff to release later this year. What are you currently working on?
Yes, so I have two new poetry books that I'm working on. I have my first one coming out in April, and then I have another one coming out in August, I believe. And I do plan on sharing more information about that soon. I'm just still getting things together. I still have a little bit of time to put the first book out, which is already done. I'm just working out some last minute stuff, and I'll be able to share more information on that soon. But definitely, and also, I'm celebrating 10 years of my career this year, and that has been a significant achievement to have made it that far and still keep being able to go and do more things. And I'm very grateful for that because um I've seen a lot of people come and go within this business, not even just this business, but just life in general. And I'm really thankful that I'm still here and I can tell the story. So I feel like people can look forward to that soon. Also, I'm going to be doing a lot more performances. I've been doing a lot of that lately. More stuff on that coming as well, and some other ventures that I'm getting into. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm also working on a documentary. Actually, two documentaries right now. The first one, we just put out the first episode with my good friend of mine, Patronella Samuels, the Concrete Rose from Patterson. We just did the first episode. That's out now. Second episode is coming soon. And then I'm also doing a project on my life, about my career, my 10-year journey. So that's gonna come out in October, I believe. So
That's wonderful news. Congratulations. That sounds like an amazing projects.
thank
um,
you.
uh, so, in terms of your writing, over the years, how have you developed over the last 10 years? How would you say you've developed as a writer?
I've developed in many ways, for one, on the technical side, I learned more about, punctuation, grammar, proper spelling, proper wording. Not only that, also as well, when it comes to storytelling, how to really flesh out a story, how to really make the characters feel realistic, the plot, all of those things. And really, I feel like as my writing matured, I matured as well, because, I feel like it's kind of a thing where I put out my first book when I was basically coming of age. I was still going through that transition as, from being a boy to a man. And I feel like my writing has kind of reflected that as well. I grew with my writing in a sense. Um, yeah, a lot of growth, a lot of maturity, I feel like has come about because of that. And I'm just thankful that I can tell the story and really share that inspiration with other people.
Okay. Um, for your in terms of your writing, in terms of the craft of writing, what elements do you think are your strong suit, and what do you wish you were a little better at, or are you trying to be better at?
Okay. Well, what I feel like I capture the best, is my authenticity, my rawness. People can really feel where I'm coming from on a certain topic, on a certain subject. They can feel my passion. If I feel my angry, they can feel my anger. If I feel sad, they can feel my sadness. If I feel joyous, they can feel that joy. I really capture the essence of emotion and portraying that in every aspect on a mental and a physical and also a spiritual level. And I feel like what I am working on is, not being too overgeneralizing, looking at things from one perspective, because of maybe I had a bad experience or it's something that may not have worked out. I may have that general viewpoint for everything. And I'm just working on breaking myself out of that specific thing. And also letting go. Sometimes I feel like I can get a bit too intense when it comes to my emotions and how I portray that in my work. I'm not saying I should, tone myself down or anything, but, you know, like have more compassion, so to say, you know, look at things from a more holistic and soft-hearted approach rather than just, going all in, straight out the gate.
Um, for any of your books. I mean, how long does it take you to write a book? And do you have a writing routine?
Um, yes, actually, a book can take a lot of time. It depends on what you're writing. I feel like when it comes to poetry, poetry for me is easier to write because, I just sit down, I just get to it. I don't have to really plan anything out. Now, for like, if it's like a thematic piece or something of that sort, if there's like a specific story or theme, because I have been doing more a lot of that lately, actually planning out some of my poems, what I want to write. And the planning process could take days, weeks, sometimes even months, depending on what you're working on. But I usually, when it comes to a poetry book, I can have that, finished within, I'd say, about, maybe 2 to 4 months. I would say that probably no more than 2 to 4 months if it's something small. When it comes to fiction, something like a Ballad of Sydney Hill or any of my other fiction prose novels, those could take months to years. I got some books in the works right now that I've been working on for about 3, 4, 5 years. Half a decade almost. So it depends on what you want to write and how you want to go about it. But I say when it comes to prose, something with a narrative that could take, you know, up to a year or several, especially if you're working on multiple projects, you know, it could take a lot of time.
Okay. I wrote the next question is, what does literary success mean to you? If you prefer to not just it be literary, what does success mean to you? Either of them.
Well, I mean, success to me is being able to do what I love and not have to worry about anything else. Success to me is living my dream and relinquishing and my purpose and spreading that inspiration to other individuals. Some people say it's money, they say it's fame, you know, all of those are byproducts of success, but at the end of the day, that's just not the primary focus. Of course, financing is important and stuff of that nature, but that's not the only focus. It's a deeper focus. It's a purpose, it's a plan that I want to get my work out there and inspire the world and get other people to do the same.
Okay. And of all of your work, what would you say you're most proud of?
Oh man, it's a lot of them, but if I had to be honest, I'd say the first one. Because I say that's the one that started it all because it did. If I wouldn't have put that first book out, then none of this other stuff would have even began. So I feel like the first one really and not really in terms of like plot and story or whatever, but just the significance of putting that out. It really signified to me that I can do this, that I have what it takes to accomplish my dreams. And it doesn't matter what the world thinks or society, as long as it's in my heart, as long as that's what I'm passionate about, then I could never lose.
Um, so, how long after you completed your first manuscript, The Ballad of Sydney Hill, was it before you got it published?
Um, hmm, I'd say it was about maybe a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half it took to actually get it out because the way I did it, I basically had to rewrite the book like twice. So yeah, that took about, almost a year. And then I still, even after I published it, I still was making changes and everything because I was still new to publishing, putting out my own work, so I still had to work out a lot of stuff. And still to this day, I feel like I'm actually cleaning up some work. Most of my catalog already is up to standard, at least the way that I want it. But I do feel like I still have about like 3 to 4 books that I really need to rework and retool so that it could be up to the standard that it was meant to be. Because it's like we said earlier in this interview, I evolved with my writing, and my writing evolved with me. So I feel like there are certain techniques that I've learned and how to format and how to structure sentences that I feel like I need to carry over to those works. So,
Okay. And how did you get that manuscript published? What was your publishing journey?
um, I found out about self-publishing right before I got into high school because I was talking to, a guidance counselor at that time. He actually had encouraged me to start, learning about self-publishing because I was doing research on it and it could cost anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars if you go the traditional route. That's not me trying to discourage anyone from doing it. If that's what someone would want to do, that's their choice, their decision. But I feel like for me, I couldn't afford any of that. And I didn't know anyone who could. So that's when I learned about self-publishing through my guidance counselor. And he told me that, I should try it out and get my work out there because I did show him some of my work that I was working on at that time and he was impressed. So I felt like that gave me the confidence needed to learn more about this stuff. And I stumbled upon a site, a platform that I was able to do it. I was able to put my book out for free. I did it, I believe, through Lulu. If you're familiar with that, if you ever heard of Lulu.com.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was using at first. I mean, I don't use them anymore, but um, that's how I started out. And then I found out about Create Space, and then I found out about KDP, and then Smash Words and all of that stuff. And that's how I was able to really get my work out through those platforms.
Okay. And in getting your books published, what's the most surprising thing that you learned?
How simple it is. I'm like, why isn't everyone doing this? The only thing I really did pay for was to get my paperbacks, and even that, I get that at a discounted rate. Being an author and everything. I'm surprised how easy it is. Easy as in like it's simple. All you got to do is go on a website, make sure you have all of your materials, and then upload it. But I feel the hardest part is having the material. That's the part that they don't really tell you about. But the publishing part itself has been easier than ever. And I feel like I'm grateful to have to be a part of this. I want to call it, what I mean, the gold rush of self-publishing. because it's really big right now. And a lot of people, more than ever, are getting into it, are able to put their stories out. And I'm grateful to be part of it.
Okay. Um, are you a member of any writers group, or do you have critique partners? Um, any of those, or have you been a member?
Yes, I've been through a number of groups and clubs. I still am involved now. I'm involved in a poetry club up in Boonton. I have my own local group of creatives that we're together. Um, and yeah, it's a lot of groups that I've been through in the past. Well, I've done workshops on how to have better structure with writing, workshops on poetry, performance delivery, a lot of different stuff that I've been to in the past, and I was able to take everything that I was presented with and I've learned and apply that to, my career and my real life. And it's helped me out on many occasions.
Okay. And what advice would you give a new writer that's just starting out?
Well, I would say take your time, know the market, know your audience, know what you want to put out. And once you figure out everything it is that you want to do and how you want to achieve it, then you'll be able to make way for that naturally. You know, just take your time with it. Understand that success is over time and not overnight. And you're going to spend a lot of time really learning and applying. It's going to be a lot of times where you will feel discouraged. You want to give up, but you have to keep going. You have to stay focused and understand that, again, success is over time and not overnight. And as long as you persevere, you dedicate yourself to sharpening your skills, you will see light at the end of the tunnel. So that's the advice that I could give to any new writers out there looking to get their work out.
Okay. Um, and for my final question, I always like to kind of give you an opportunity to talk about something that maybe is not writing related. So what is something that you always want to talk about in like an interview, but never get a chance to?
Wow. Yeah. So like, I feel like I really don't get to talk about my other endeavors as much as I do my writing, you know, with the performances and everything. That's one thing I feel like I really like bringing to the table as well when it comes to whatever interview that I'm in, the other hands that I have, the other hats that I wear. Because it's okay to be multifaceted. That's how we are as individuals. I feel like being a multifaceted person, you can have so many different perspectives and you can have so many influences. It could really enrich the quality of everything that you're creating. And not only that, it'll give you a more nuanced view of the world and society as a whole. So that's what I really feel like I like to touch base on.
Okay. So I want to say thank you so much for being here this morning, for chatting with us at the Wayne Public Library, and wish you all the best of luck in all of your different endeavors. Um, it sounds like you have a lot on your plate at the moment, which is great, keeps you busy, and is wonderful that you're getting to create your craft in all different varieties. So, congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you so much.